an isolated incident. Yet people that damage for years. These people met who known perhaps.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sisa Mira Inc. podcast with me, Asma Surprise Sitole. On today's episode, we're going to be delving into the information and technology industry. This complex industry has been shaping the way that we communicate, the way that we send data, the way we receive data, and ultimately the way that we live our online presence, which we call digital footprints. To gain more insights about this ever evolving and this complex industry, I'll be joined by Ahubaku Mukoko, who's a director at OB Tech Systems based in South Africa. Akhobakwe, thank you for honoring my invitation. I can't wait for us to delve into this complex industry, and shukran for joining me.
Thank you for having me over.
Do you mind briefly explaining, this complicated term? What is information technology?
Information technology, basically, it's a system that, for example, like a computer, IT, it's more like a system that allows you to store information, process information, and also communication. That's the easiest way I can find to explain what technology is.
In your description, you mentioned information and data, and I believe that it's a $1 billion industry. But however, who needs data and who uses it? Why is this so significant in our everyday lives?
I think everything revolves around information technology. Unfortunately, a lot of people, if not most, they're not
Mhm.
aware of the impact that information technology has. Just
Mhm.
about everything around us exists, as a result of information technology. So it's something that we cannot survive, personally and commercially without. Just about everything revolves around it. Like the call that we are on now, if it wasn't for information
Mhm.
technology and internet, it wouldn't be possible.
All
And
right.
yeah, I think nothing works actually without information technology.
I was attending one of the IT or AI conferences here in Dubai. I would like to take us through of what is big data, and with regards to more especially in within this media and communication industry.
Good question. So big data is it's more like information.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we leave a trace of I would say online presence. And along our journey, within information technology, you need to analyze, some certain habits, things that people browse on.
Mm-hmm.
We usually have something called cookies. Cookies basically they keep track of what you're doing on the
All right.
internet, how you do it, and how often.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to be able to target, your customers through ads, you need something
Yes.
that is called big data. And big data, it's what we use to analyze information, of computer users, internet users. It basically gives us, an insight into the habits that users do. Example would be like when you're going on a browser and you're browsing for something, you have this website that you visit quite
Mm-hmm.
often. What happens in the background is that you have cookies that are running, monitoring your whatever it is that you're doing on the internet. And then while you're searching for that thing on the internet, I'm going to give you a very good example. While you're searching for that one thing, let's say on your search engine, and you go to a
Mm-hmm.
certain social media platform, and as soon as you log into it, you start seeing things that you searched previously. That's called targeted, advertisements, and that comes as a result of big data.
What you're essentially saying is that we're leaving data along the way, our traces of information whenever we're browsing online, whenever we open certain websites, or whenever we log in onto certain websites. However, in this complicated industry that is so much digitalized, and who's the most vulnerable with regards to identity theft or, malware, and who's the most vulnerable?
No one
Hmm.
is safe, when it comes to your information or anything. Anyone can be hacked. Any
Yeah.
company can be hacked. It's just a matter of,
Hmm.
making sure that, your systems are secured. You have,
Hmm.
necessary things like antiviruses, you have firewalls and so on that keep on,
Hmm.
monitoring your services and stuff. But no one is safe from getting hacked. Get big companies, multinational companies that usually suffer, from your malicious hacking and stuff.
Hmm.
Basically, no one is safe. Can happen anytime,
Yes.
anyway. You just need to be vigilant.
Ultimately, I believe that we just have to be safe out there with our information, and with websites that we go into, because of you'll never know, like what you mentioned, you'll never know that whatever we're clicking is actually going to lead us to a website that is very malicious, or that is going to be, very much irresponsible with our data out there. So I do believe that we should also play our role and be responsible online, more especially. With the latest innovations that evolve around this industry of information technology, we've seen the rise of artificial intelligence, and we've seen businesses automating their daily business tasks. Everything is automated. Going to your vertical farms, going to your workflows, business flows is so much automated, and which artificial intelligence plays a very significant role. Do you believe that whenever we're feeding these systems or these softwares of artificial intelligence, the more they become greater, more intelligent, more super intelligent, and or are we becoming more vulnerable? We think that we are making our lives very convenient, or our workflows very convenient, but are we at risk? With the more we feed this softwares, the more we're going to be very much vulnerable, more especially with our data, more especially with everything being automated.
I would, AI is there to make our lives very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in so doing, one still has to, exercise caution, like I said previously, that you need to know what you're doing, you need to know what you're clicking on, you need to know safeguard your information, especially your online presence, your identity, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. Just to make sure that you're taking care of those aspects, because
Mm-hmm.
anything malicious can happen. Somebody can send you something, you can click on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up giving away information that you didn't intend on giving away. And
Mm-hmm.
secondly, with AI is making our lives simpler. You can automate just about anything, but with AI comes a lot of risks. Anything can happen. I can create, hypothetically, one can create, like your ID card, 100%, the way it looks like. And one can
Mm-hmm.
also take your voice and also use the AI just to play around with it. So one can easily spoof somebody about you, like they can impersonate you. So with AI, I think it's good to help people kind of brainstorm and use it for, let's say you don't understand something and you want to start doing it. You can just go in AI and say, "Hi, ChatGPT, this is what I'm trying to do," and it will sort of guide you through the steps, of what you need to
Yes.
accomplish. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you need to be very careful. As long as you're on the internet, you need to be careful about what information you're putting there.
I remember we were talking about social media and how much it can have an impact onto one's else's life. And you mentioned something very important when we were discussing this. You were like, whatever that you put on the internet stays forever. What did you mean by that term, and what impact can it have to one's life, more especially in this digital era? And everything that is out there, it's out there. You can't get rid of it, or you can't actually have it removed very easily. So, what are those implications that we're looking at when we engaging online?
Yeah. So, like I said, anything on the internet, it leaves a trace of what you did, when, how. So imagine you putting up something on the internet, and then you posted it 10, 15 years ago, when you were still young, wild and free. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden there is this business opportunity or employment opportunity. Most companies, what they do, they do a background check, and they will scan all your social media. So imagine
Mm-hmm.
if your potential business partner, or your potential employment, they go on the internet and they search for your stuff, and they see what you used to do 10, 15 years ago. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think one would like, their potential employer to see what they've been getting up to, 10, 15 years. So I usually say that whatever it is that people do on the internet, they need to maintain their privacy. They must not just
Mm-hmm.
give out things like, the personal informations they are aware about, and so on. I usually say people who are on social media frequently, or people who use internet frequently, they must minimize, sharing of personal information and private
Mm-hmm.
information. I usually say they must just keep it, as general as they possibly can, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to give hints to people who intend on harming you, through cyber attacks and so on. Because with the use of AI, it's easy for one to compile uh, your passwords, your whereabouts and so on. It's easy for them to compile when you just putting stuff on the internet without, exercising caution.
Remember one time you were discussing what you do at work, and you told me that you're actually maintaining physical servers. And along the years, we've seen everything becoming so virtual. And there was a term that was raised, and it was called cloud. And apparently it stores data. Do you mind describing the two terms, between a physical server and a cloud server? How do they function differently, and how can we distinguish between the two?
I think when I struggle with this one, even though I know what it is. So basically, a server, it's a supercomputer
Mm-hmm.
that's hosted somewhere. It's used to service workstations. So in a layman terms, I would say that uh, you can run systems, applications, whatever on the server. Let's say, let me just give you an example. I think I'm good with examples. Let's say you have a computer, running applications like what we are using now. That thing is sitting
Yes.
far away from where we are. And then when you put in the email addresses or the website, you
Mm-hmm.
literally asking the server to service you. The server will give you whatever information that you want, even though it's not sitting with you, it's sitting
Mm-hmm.
somewhere there offside. It services, it provides, computer related services to remote areas. And then another one, cloud computing, is it's accessing of computer resources, being it storage, network, or anything
Mm-hmm.
remotely, because you're accessing something that's not where you are. You're accessing it
Mm-hmm.
through the internet or whatever. That's hence the term cloud, because it's not sitting where you are sitting. I don't know if I'm putting it correctly. So
All
they
right.
kind of work they kind of work hand in hand. A server and cloud computing, they're more or less the same, if you get what I'm trying to say. But in
Yes.
a nutshell, is that cloud computing is like an imaginary computer somewhere there that you can just access over the internet. You can do just
Mm-hmm.
about anything. You can use it as if it's sitting here with you, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
not. I hope
Yes.
I explained it, in a way that you can understand.
Seeing so many innovations, so many inventions, more especially, in this information technology industry, because it controls everything. Everything is no longer mechanic. Everything is just on digital based, or we're hearing words about softwares. We're hearing so many new words along the way. The more we transition to, this fourth digital revolution. What are the latest trends that we're going to be seeing in the next coming years, or whatever that we're experiencing now is going to be a very much advancement of the latest technology that we're currently using, or that will be very much implemented in the next coming months?
Uh, I think with the emerging, of AI,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things are going to happen. There will be new technologies. I think 5 years from now, people will be able to control mouse, using their brains, or people who are disabled. They will be, be able to. People will be able maybe to insert some microchips in the brain. I think uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think Elon Musk has started something along those lines where he's helping
Oh,
people
yes.
to, answer the phones just using brains and so on. But what I can
Mm-hmm.
say in terms of technology, it will always evolve. It will always, get better and better because there's people everywhere, innovating stuff, coming up
Mm-hmm.
with new things. Cell phones are getting smaller and smaller, and then computers are getting smaller and smaller. I think before we know it, uh, we 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 are going to, like they say, the fourth industrial revolution is just about to happen.
Yes.
And with the
Mm-hmm.
rise of technology again, I think what Elon Musk is trying to do, sending the first people to Mars, I think we
Mm-hmm.
will be able to see it. I think our generation will be able to, to see it with our own eyes.
And by giving an example about Elon Musk implanting a chip on somebody else's brain, I think if it's used responsibly, and if it helps with humanity, then and it's regulated at the same time, I think it can have a long positive impact in society as general. Children today have access to these technologies. The way that they do their schoolworks, is sometimes on their laptops, on their tablets, and whenever they play games, or then whenever they interact with their cell phone, they're so super intelligent that sometimes, they will even teach you of how to use your own cell phone. And I remember a friend of mine telling me that, what, these kids were born into technology. So, or before they were born, were the signals that was sent into them. And that's why whenever, they were growing up, they can quickly adjust to this technology and this digitalization, because they're so super intelligent. However, what regulations or what impacts can it have whenever, what, kids are exposed to so much data, to so much accessibility of everything, just by a click of a button?
I think I think every opposite has, equal opposite reaction. I think when people spend too much time, advancing technology and innovating
Hmm.
everything, I'm gonna give you a very practical example.
All
We're
right.
living in a day where, batteries, everything that we use works with batteries, and
Mm-hmm.
the cars that we use, they use batteries. Can you imagine where they manufacturing that lithium ion? I think it's probably some mine somewhere in Africa. Can you imagine
Mm-hmm.
the environmental impact it has? And also, you know, there's possibilities of child labor, and so on. Obviously, that
Mm-hmm.
the environmental impact is there, and then
Mm-hmm.
also people, the more they develop, uh,
Yes.
I always have this thing in my head saying that, especially with AI,
Mm-hmm.
it's AI, like it's turning into. I think it's becoming smarter than the people who have developed it. Imagine if
Yes.
AI now start having its own brains, it can control itself and so on. We're living in a world whereby we might be
Mm-hmm.
working with something that we don't know how it works, or we don't know what AI might do to us in 10, 15 years time from
Yes.
now. We just have to cross our
Mm-hmm.
fingers and pray that, everything goes well, and, I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
I mean, you mentioned mines in Africa and about lithium and how about batteries as well. And what impacts, or do you think IT companies should have a framework of regulations, more especially with carbon emissions? Because I believe that whenever we're trying to build these models, whenever we're trying to build this technology advancements, it's going to require electricity, and electricity is going to definitely leave a very much footprint, in our systems, and it's going to be so large that it's going to also, have an impact on to achieving those carbon emissions deadlines that countries have set. So do you believe that IT industry can do so much more with limiting the emissions of CO2?
Is now we are working on developing systems that can, fully depend on like your uninterrupted
Hmm.
power supplies. We have things like batteries, we have things like solars, we have things like inverters, and most companies,
Hmm.
we people are going green. Big companies are going green. They're reducing, like your carbon emission. I think just about, I think 5 to 10 years from now, almost each and every car, it will either be, using batteries or like some advanced, version of some hybrid engine. I think there's still a
Yes.
more that we can achieve, as the tech fraternity, in terms of, reducing carbon emission. But most definitely, I think, yeah, we still have, a lot of room to improve.
As someone who's been in the industry for over some years, and you've seen the changes, you've seen the trends coming and going, you see the innovations, the inventions. Do you believe that information studies should be implemented at school, more especially at the very elementary level?
Yeah, most definitely. I think the the education, they can start putting,
Hmm.
the schools and so on into. I think they need to expose the young learners into the information technology thing. It must not be things that they have to wait 10 years before they can do. I think the earlier they get
Hmm.
them exposed into IT, the better, because not only will it benefit, everyone that uses technology, but our kids
Hmm.
will know how technology works, how it's made, how
Yes.
it's done, you know, programming and the likes. And I think
Yes.
if done properly, we will be in a place where, young kids are able to develop systems, not just watch videos on YouTube. Like they
Hmm.
will develop systems that, they can help, the world, and they can literally add value into, the country's GDP. We can
Hmm.
come up with systems that can solve, technical problems around the world, and
About
people.
partnering with small enterprises in developing countries, and I think it will be good for for the upcoming generation as well.
I agree with you. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a matter of, just government saying, hey guys, this is what we're willing to do, even if they can't do
Mm-hmm.
it themselves. I urge, like tech companies, like global
Mm-hmm.
companies, to start investing back into the, the places where they come from, because most CEO of the companies, like your global tech companies, they're coming
Mm-hmm.
from, the rural areas, the townships. Let's allow them. Let's influence them, to invest back into where they're coming from. And then
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if they do that, they will find us on the ground.
And whoever wants to partner up with you, or who wants your services, how can they get hold of you?
On all social media,
Mm-hmm.
it's OB Tech Systems, and my mobile number is +27 68
Mm-hmm.
286 7934.
This industry is very mysterious as it is. We're gonna be coming with so many inventions, innovations that we're gonna be seeing emerging, and I can't wait to have you back on my podcast. And from me, Asma Surprise Sitole, those who have tuned, those who have followed me on my channels, I say shukran.